Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys! Welcome back to the unhinged, the undefeated, and the unbreakable TCP Live, coming at you live at 7:30 p.m. every Thursday evening on YouTube, and available ad-free on YouTube memberships and Patreon. We're back. TCP Live, we're here, baby. Hi, Rohan.
Hi, how are you? Forget about me. Forget about me.
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We will, of course, come to my my quiz performance and the subsequent aftermath of that. This evening, we want to come to Rohan indirecting me.
Why do you always do this?
Rohan,
why do you always
on
do
me.
this?
It's been a hard week, Rohan. I want to come to the one of my controversies this week, Saka left wing. I want to come to the kits. See the kits. Obviously, we're going to talk the title race, and then we keep saying this every single week that we're going to do a Q&A, and we just never do it. We answer like one. We finish like 8:50. Sorry, yeah, we're going to finish at 8:55 because Rohan wants to watch The Apprentice. But I feel like every week we say we're going to do a Q&A, and we just never end up doing it. So we're going to actually do a Q&A this week, and answer as many questions as we possibly can. How are you, Rohan?
I'm very good. Very good. Yeah. Good. But like I said, forget about me. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Genuinely, these things, like, just to address because if you've completely missed this, essentially, I went on the overlap and did a quiz and didn't do very well. I got 5 out of 12. Let's just be clear. But I am aware. I bowled it. I absolutely bowled down the bars. And I've been getting some flack for it. Genuinely, it's one of those things. It's here today, gone tomorrow, isn't it? Like realistically, it's really not a big a deal. It's just not that big a deal.
It's not deep.
The one thing I will say, some of the responses have been insane. That's because the quiz part of it, obviously, it's like, yeah, I fucked it. You know, it was shit, and I should know some of the questions. Some of them were before I was born, or maybe when I was like 2.
Some of them were hard as well, mate. Like,
some of them were
how
tough.
many goals do Ian Wright and Bergkamp have combined? Like,
yeah, and even then, I got 5 out of 12. Like, it's not. It's whatever. It's a quiz.
It doesn't matter what you got. It's not deep. It's literally not deep.
It's literally a quiz. But some of the responses, I mean, one of them was saying that, genuinely suggesting that the overlap had got me on.
I saw that.
On purpose to make Arsenal fans look bad.
Yeah.
How Twitter brained do you have to be to think that someone at Sky, actually it's not even Sky, the overlap's run by other people, someone's gone, yeah, do you know what we should do to make Arsenal fans look bad? We're gonna sign this guy, we're gonna get this guy to start making content years ago, and then we're gonna sort of build him up in the Arsenal space, and one day we'll get him on, and we'll do a quiz where he gets nearly half the questions right, and that is gonna make Arsenal fans look bad. Like, honestly, like, it's like some of those responses have been, yeah, insane. But anyway,
it's
what it is.
Not deep, is it? It's really not deep. It's a quiz, and do you know what it is? People don't realize when you're on camera, it's a different ball game as well. It is a different ball game. Now, I remember we spoke about it last week. Like the Wenger one, I think you absolutely should get that one. Like, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, it's just it's quite sad, really. And people will say this, that's why I'm defending you, but it's not. It's like, it's quite sad how this has caused significant uproar. Like, it's
got millions of views, that clip, and I just think that, yeah, as I say, the quiz bit, it's like, you know, you get questions right, your questions wrong. Yeah. I should have known them. It's under the lights, whatever. It's some of the responses are like, it's like I've really hurt people. It's like,
but what it is, Alex. No, but what it is, right? This is a lesson to everyone, right? Social media. There will always be certain people who will not like you, right? They just won't like you. You could be the nicest guy, you could be the worst guy out there, but there'll always be a pool of people who don't like you. So any moment in which there's an opportunity to hit at you, they will take it with full ferocity, especially when it's something like the overlap, which is watched by lots and lots of people. So it's a great opportunity for someone to use that as a way of getting at you, and that's what it is. when you realize that you can't please everyone, you can be happy with yourself in terms of when you're like in, you know, you're very big amongst the Arsenal community, as we all know. So there's always going to be that side of the fan base that don't like you. Just the same with anyone, they won't like you, and they'll just try and find a way to put you down. But it's really toxic. I don't like this. Like it's just, why do people like putting people down just for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what you're saying there. Like, look, people will find something because they you know, and you know, I get it. Like, it's a cool position to be in, and lots of people want to be in that position, and I totally get that. And so they will feel that, you know, well, I would have done, basically, if you read a lot of the comments, they're like, well, I would have done a better job. That's basically what people are saying, and I get, and maybe you would, who knows, but it's the stuff like this. It's the stuff when like someone was pretending that they knew me in real life.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, like, right, honestly, how have you got from? I can understand the people who are like, oh, he's, you know, what an idiot, should have known better. To be honest, like, if I saw that, I didn't know me, I just like, he's a bit of an idiot. I wouldn't comment on it, but some people's going to comment on it. It's going further and being like, I know this guy, he's an idiot, and pretend like stuff. I'm just like, how do you have to? What are you doing all day? You don't have a job. Like,
yeah,
really bizarre.
It's literally it's the same with me. Like, I won't react to anything online. If someone's been like trolled, like I said, for a quiz, for example, I wouldn't react to it. It's just not who I am personally. I just find it a waste of time, and it's just unnecessary. Yeah. It's such a toxic mindset. I think it is a really toxic mindset. Personally.
And this time next week, no one's going to be talking about it. It's what it is. It just is what it is. Let's move on. Honestly, like, and thank you for asking. And people have sent some lovely messages. And like, you know, everyone I meet in the you know, in the football space. I met Flex today. You know, the Man United fan.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. Such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy, and just like that, those are the interactions. I'm like, actually, that's what people are really like.
A lot of it is literally like you wouldn't receive that sort of backlash in real life. It's just the reality of it, and that's the real world. It's just exactly. A small minority.
More importantly, exactly. More importantly, Rohan, you've been slagging me off.
No, I haven't. Why'd you do this? I actually only saw the Sterling. So when you messaged me about the Sterling thing, I thought, oh, okay. And then I saw you were responsible. Oh, for God's sake! I felt you were a bit hurt. I wasn't aiming it at you.
No, I wasn't. To be clear, I wasn't hurt. It was. What was your tweet? What did you say? You said
basically, I think, right, and I'm not saying this is you, but you know, when we talk about a player not putting in the effort in, let's say, I think you can lean towards the character assassination side of things. I do think that that can happen when you have very little information available to you. And I said it at the time. I don't think it's a case of a lack of trying from Sterling. I just think it's a player who is off the level relative to others, and also just
Rohan Jivan. I would still start Sterling on Saturday. We need to make it work, guys, for the time being. I massively disagree with the idea he's not trying. Not a fan of character assassinations with very little information.
Yeah.
Why are you indirecting me? Huh? Do you not? I just don't think. And this is my issue with Sterling. I don't think, if this is what you're saying, and that's the sense I'm getting. I don't think it's a character assassination to say that someone's not trying.
No, but I think you can lean towards that side of things when you start to make those sorts of assumptions. Personally, I
think you're on the
because if you tell someone that, like, especially with Raheem Sterling, with the wages that he's on, that he's not trying, that I think that can be like, I'm not saying it's you, but I think that can be a really.
I mean, to be clear, I have said that. So
I think you can lean towards a really negative way of portraying a player. Whereas I personally think it's not a lack of trying. I think that the problem is that this Arsenal team is very well drilled, right? And everybody knows the triggers to a T. It's not just Erdegaard. People say it's Erdegaard. Everyone knows the triggers to a T, and Sterling is quite off on it at times in terms of when to go, when not to go. And I think that's what you see at times. And I also think it's someone who just isn't at the level fitness-wise as well. I think that is a big reason why he has been hooked in pretty much every single game that he has played. Even in some of the games that he's looked decent in, when he started, he's been hooked in every single game. And George made a good point about the running that he's not been tasked to do at City and Liverpool, and I completely buy that. You know, so there's big elements to that.
But I think fans have every right to say to a player who is being paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week that I don't think you're putting in 100%, and that's what I feel. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I do think it shouldn't be, in my opinion, it shouldn't be seen as a kind of a personal attack to say that you think someone's not trying. Like I think because it's not about. I'm not saying he's not trying because he's lazy or because of this quality about him, outside of the football pitch. I'm saying on the football, it's only on the football pitch. He's not. I don't think he's trying. And look, you can agree, you can disagree. You can think it's about the running. You can think it's about his physical quality. I think it's obviously it's going to be a combination of loads of things. But for me, Sterling, one of the issues in the picture is I don't feel the fire. I don't feel the determination and the will to change this round, and that's why I come at the conclusion that a part of this picture is I don't think he's trying. Now that doesn't mean I think Raheem Sterling's a horrible person. Doesn't mean I think he's all these sorts of things. But do you know what I mean? Like, I think fans are within. I think
that, for sure. But I'm not talking about that type of side. I think when it goes to that lazy side of things and saying I think it's if you think that he is not applying the level of intensity that you think he should be, I think that can then come down to his fitness and other aspects that he's just not at that level. But my point is when we say that he's simply just not trying, and he's just here to be here. I don't think
it can be both. It could be that he's not at the physical level, but also there's a desire aspect as well.
Personally, if it was the case that Raheem Sterling was not trying, I think that would be really unacceptable as a player, as a professional. And that's why I think for me, like, it's like when a player misses chances, right? I'll never go in on someone big time when they're missing chances where some people will do. I think it's the same when you're not, when it comes to fitness and it comes to not being able to hit the level that people want you to do. I just think it's like when Mesut Ozil, for example, it's time when people thought he wasn't trying. And he was quite lazy. I disagreed massively on that side of things. So it's when people go a little bit too far, I don't like it. That's why I'm not saying directed towards you. I don't think you're not assassinating Raheem Sterling's character. You're not. But you just think that he's not doing enough for what the team needs. But I think when it's on the opposite side, in which people are going a little bit too hard, saying this is a player who's just here to be here, he's being lazy, he's not putting any effort in. I don't think Mikel Arteta would be starting Sterling even in our current situation if he wasn't trying in training or looking to try and put a level of intensity in. So,
yeah, I don't think it needs to be he is trying or he isn't, or he is physically shot or he's not. All of these things are going to come into play. These are complicated scenarios, and it's going to be a mixture of the role and his confidence and his physical level and how he was just feeling on the day. That can happen. But I guess the only thing I'd say is physical will. Literally, the desire to do well has to be part of the picture. And I don't feel that from Sterling. And that, I have to be honest. Not certainly at the level that I would expect from a player of his experience and his level. And you can agree to disagree, and it's absolutely fine. But I just think when I come away from watching him, I have to be honest about my first instinct, and I don't feel a player. And maybe also because he stood next to the likes of Miles and Gabriel.
Well, this is what I mean. Yeah,
he's against those guys who just really want to do it. But I just don't think. I suppose. I think it can't be taken out of the picture, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the stance I have. I think a lot of it is when you're looking at it relatively amongst the other players around you and how the intensity they're providing. And I just don't think Sterling is able to give Arsenal that because he is not used to that. But going back to the original tweet, I would still start him on Saturday because I think if Arsenal want to navigate through these next set of games, we have to try and maximize the resources that we have available. Now, then, let's say Sterling plays against West Ham. He stinks it out. Because let's be honest, he was awful against Leicester. And I'm not denying that. It was absolutely awful. And let's say he was awful against West Ham and he's awful against Forest. At least we know as a club that we're doing our absolute best to try and get a tune out of him. I think the worst thing would be right now, in which the situation Arsenal have right now in terms of attacking options. You've got to try your absolute best to get a tune out of him. And that's where I stand on it. I don't believe starting with Mikel Merino from the get-go is the solution. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? It's like when a player comes on and does really well, scores 2 goals, immediately fans think, he's got to start now. Whereas sometimes it's not always the case. It's just, it depends on that sort of game state and that Like nobody would have been wanting Mikael Marino to start number 9 before a ball was kicked against Leicester. Maybe a small minority, but I'm pretty sure everybody would have felt that it should have been the Trossard, Wanyeri,
for sure.
and Sterling front three.
Yeah,
So
honestly, I would also start Sterling, even like because I think it's our best front three. Like unfortunately, because of the position we're in, we've got 4 first team attackers out. I think Raheem Sterling has to be involved, unfortunately. So it is that, and you're right. We might be able to after the fact say, I said it. I said Marino should start 9. No one was calling for him to start at number 9. I think he can help us there. Let's come to some super chats from George Dimmy. Says, if Endrick being unhappy is true, would you take
Endrick? I've just not watched enough. But
yeah, I'll be right. I've watched the YouTube comps. I've seen him play for Madrid a couple of times. I can't be honest and say I know him particularly well.
Yeah.
The thing I did see, Roberto Firmino on a free.
How old is he now?
Don't know. Would you do it if that was available?
Oh, what, in the January window?
No.
Well, right.
He became a free agent from Al Ahly
on a very short-term deal. Yeah, for sure.
To the end of the season.
Yes, absolutely. Have you seen the situation we're in?
Yeah, I think I'd do it.
Yeah, for the end of the season, for sure.
Clivey Baby says, guys, would you take an extra winger or a number 8, 10 sum?
Well, I think he's alluding to either a winger or a number 8, just 10, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what you mean.
If it's a direct choice between you can sign a top level winger or a top level 8 or 10, a winger for me.
Absolutely. I mean, we said it in the pod, the main pod that we did recently. The big thing about Ethan Wanyeri and Mars Lewis Skelly is that they're saving Arsenal a lot of investment going into the squad rebuild that we're going to do. Now, if it's someone like a Jamal Musiala that becomes available, you as a top tier club looking to be that top tier club for the foreseeable future, you have to put your name in that hat because that is a top tier talent. But outside of those types of players, I'm very happy with what we have. And we can actually develop these two into becoming that top tier player as well. So I think they saved us a lot of money. And I think it's now time for Arsenal to seriously invest in their front line. And that is by getting in a winger, centre forward, whatever's the best out there.
Yeah, have to. Brown Estani says 6 minutes behind. Get off X, Alex, for mental health. Honestly, if I could show, can I show my data from how much time I've spent? I reckon I've spent half an hour to an hour on it today. Honest, I really like. And the thing is all these websites, you can go completely cold turkey, or you can manage your involvement. And for me, I prefer the latter because I do get a lot out of it. I get the community aspect out of it, but it's not just like it's YouTube. It's any way you can Reddit, Discord, any way in an online space where you can interact with Arsenal fans. It's just about, I think, understanding the platforms and understanding that, like, how quickly, for example, if I'm just speaking about X, how quickly things move on. For example, on YouTube, I look at it from more of a creative perspective. It's like understanding the game of YouTube and, like, when to post and what to post and stuff. I think if you have a conscious approach to these things, I think it's fine. I really think it's fine. It's just when your mind does, and I do this as well sometimes, but like today, I've been doing this. I had a shoot with Sport Bible, where I met Flex, and I've not been on it. Like but I think there's also, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you get to a point where you're going, should I reply to people, or does that look, whatever? And I think
I have the same thing.
It's always a balance because I'm not a believer in never replying to anything.
Yeah.
But I'm also not a believer in replying to everything, and you've got to find a balance. And you'll never please anyone. So I think you've just got to do what's best for you.
It's quite interesting as well, especially when we look at us three, right? George will reply to everyone. George is really consistent. And I think that's actually a really nice thing as well, because you're putting time out there and someone's responded to you. The least you can do is respond back. Having said that,
you learn in those debates.
You
learn in them.
Yeah. Having said that, I'm awful. I'm so bad. I literally just ignore most of it, and it's because I just don't like staying on it that long. X generally, and that's really bad because I did say to myself, like, this year I'm going to be more responsive, because it's quite poor attitude to have as well. So it's kind of having that fine line, isn't it? That balance.
Yeah,
But what I will always be like, I will not respond to like hate and just abuse. I'll just literally ignore that because it's just not worth
yeah.
your time. Really,
people say to me sometimes like, "Oh, why are you responding to that?" I'm like, mate, if I responded to everyone,
yeah,
you would see. I promise you.
Yeah.
I respond to the 1% of the 1%. I promise you. We haven't done thumbnail check.
Yes, we haven't.
I haven't done thumbnail check. Good one. It is a good one from Fall of this week. There's some details. Apparently, also we've been missing a hidden Rohan. And if we zoom in, is it on the gun?
It is there. I can see it. Yeah, just like next to his.
Oh, there it is.
For God's
It's
sake.
absolutely tiny.
Oh, it's
that
that
is a hidden
picture as
Rohan.
well. It's that awful picture. Oh my
Is it
God.
even in that version? Oh no, hang on, no. He sent me a new version, I think. Oh, I've got an old one. There's a new version.
A new version.
Oh no, it is that one. It's just so hard to see. But that is you there.
Well, it's the more you get more you zoom in, it's a bit more pixelated, isn't it? But it's
There was another version that Forder sent me. Because he put my overlap the leaderboard at the bottom. Forder, can you send me the new one? Anyway, can't find it. We'll come.
But we're rating it a solid. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because he's had the level Forder has reached.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many that have been like off the scales. I don't think
good.
this matches it.
I also didn't get the John Wick reference, so I felt bad. But it's
I just
a
got
good
it now
one.
as well.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a very. I'm gonna go 8.5. I think it's very good. Reminder: you can request thumbnails in the comments and also on our Discord, etc. If you want to join us on there. Next thing we need to look at, Rohan, is the rumored
talk
kits.
about this.
Okay.
No.
is the rumored kits for next season?
Are these like actual? Are they usually quite accurate when they release, like at this time? I can't remember.
I just don't know how you'd fake something that well.
Yeah.
That's 3 kits that I can see happening with like the labels, with hangers, with the it just doesn't in any way to me look like a fake. But this is the rumored.
What are your thoughts on the traditional aspect of Arsenal? Because you've not got the yellow as your away kit. Are you a fan of that? Because usually usually the home kit's always red, the away kit is yellow, like very traditional. And that doesn't always happen. You know, we've seen it many times over the years. But are you like a massive like advocate of it needing to be like that consistently, or are you open to like change outside of the home kit? Like the home kit's always going to be red, isn't it? But some people feel like the away kit should always be yellow as well.
Yeah. I think there maybe should be like a hint of yellow, and there is in the collar.
Yeah.
But I really like the white and the maroon. I think it looks really good. I just really like white kits in general. Unfortunately, we perform horrendously whenever we play in a white kit. But we are assuming that is the away strip, and the one on the left is the third strip. I mean, the third one is really nice.
Maybe, yeah. What do you think? I don't know if the blue one might be the away strip. No, could be.
I don't know. But I don't. I mean, we'll see. But I mean,
me, it's not purchasable for me personally. For me, like
if you had to rank them 1 to 3,
I'd go the red, then the white, and then the blue.
I think I'll go red, blue, white. The blue's really nice. You don't like it?
Not really. Do you know what it is? Like, I'm very picky with my kits. So my favorite ever Arsenal kit is obviously the burgundy one in 2006. But my favorite is the 22-23 black strip. That's my favorite. That's so nice.
It's very nice. I've seen you in that a lot. That kit.
The black and gold. I love that kit. Like that is.
Yeah, you absolutely love it. I mean, I also want to sort of remove the white kit curse that we have. which is another aspect of this. But I like all three of them, man. I think Adidas in general have done us really well. Apart from the black kit we've got this season, but even the highlighter yellow, I grew to love because of how good we were in it. We were in it. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
like that sort of blue, almost like sky bluey kit that we have that we're terrible in, but I still like it. I can't think of a bad Adidas kit apart from maybe the black one from this season. I don't know.
What is your favorite Arsenal kit
ever?
Yeah, ever. Like mine is 22-23. Like, and it's not really that kit is so good.
Well, obviously I don't know any Arsenal kits because I haven't watched anything since 2020. But favorite. I mean,
that old JVC one.
Couldn't remember this on the overlap, but the O2 one is obviously iconic. I quite liked the yellow away kit in 13-14. It's the one that Mesut Ozil got.
Yeah, Ozil's first season,
first assist in. I really like that one
against Sunderland.
With the collar, I really like that one. That was nice.
Yeah, that was really good actually. Yeah. What was your who was the last player you got on the back of your shirt?
Saka.
Oh really? Oh, you've gone that recent. Fair.
First player.
My first player. I've only had it twice actually on the back of my kit. Ozil. My first kit was the burgundy kit. It was just plain, but Ozil was the first one I got, and my last one was Walcott.
Yeah, nice. You wouldn't get anyone these days.
No.
Or what age is it? Do you think it's an age thing about when you get a name
I don't. I think if you want to name on the back, do what you want. It's fine. But I just don't. Yeah, I'm not keen. Like, actually, what about your name on the back? I do have a little bit of an ick for that.
Your own name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moneypenny 1 would be.
That's a bit of an ick.
Really, really cool. Ivan Smith says, remove the yellow bits on the white one. It's an all-timer set of kits. I mean, if the yellow, I quite like the yellow as a little nod, but I do like it. Faisal here says blue O2.
That blue one's really
Roma. That blue one's a nice kit. Even the yellow with the O2. Not that I know what I'm talking about.
A long time ago, I did get the so I got the vintage 1971, the long sleeve. It's just got the cannon. It's the red and then the white sleeve. I don't know if you can remember it. And then it's got like the red cuffs.
Yeah.
I got
like
that
the retro one.
Yeah. I really like that.
I had a retro one. Yeah. Nathan Piper, fun question. Which Prem team has had the best performance in the following positions? Goalkeeper, defense, midfield, and attack. Define Nathan, can you define performance?
Okay, so maybe the best goalkeeper, the best backline, best midfield.
For us. I thought this was like a trivia question, and I got triggered. Goalkeeper. I think us. Yeah. I can't see why it's not us.
Yeah, David Raya has been incredible.
Yeah, I don't know
how many mistakes.
Right, I don't know who it is.
Yeah. I mean, Pickford's had a very underrated season, to be fair, but we don't. And not everyone watches like Everton.
Yeah.
Weekly, do they? Pickford's had a really good season.
Also, it's like how can you be the best performing goalkeeper in a team that's in the game? Right, it's hard to.
Kelleher played very well for Liverpool when Alisson was out.
Yeah, but it was only for like 7 or 8 games, wasn't it?
I think it was quite long. I think it was longer than that, but
defense. People saying Sells at Nottingham Forest. That's a good shout.
Yeah, but I think.
But I think
Forest. They are. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but they, in terms of their actual like defensive line, it's amongst the deepest out of any team in the Premier League. On average,
doesn't make it bad though necessarily.
It doesn't make it bad, but I don't think it makes it as impressive as other teams or as aggressive as us. Like I think I personally stand by that. It's so much harder defending on the halfway line than defending, with not much space behind you.
Also, Forest have been very lucky with not necessarily injuries, but because they've actually had some injuries, but putting the same team out. They literally put the same team out every single in the run they've been on. I think. Yeah. I don't know what their recent results have been like.
Well, I think I think Liverpool and Forest have probably had like the longest winning runs this season in Premier League. Forest won like 5 in a row at one stage. I think 5 or 6 in a row. I'm pretty sure. Not taking anything away from them, but
No.
I think it has to be Arsenal in terms of. I tweeted out statistically, right? People use the fact that Arsenal conceded very few goals as a way of saying, "Oh, this is a team that defends deep in their own box." Statistically, there's only one team who holds a higher line than Arsenal defensively, and that is Bayern Munich, out of anyone in the Europe. And that is also considering the context of the number of red cards Arsenal have had this season. We are still very much right there. I can't see why it wouldn't be us.
Drewski, I'll come back to your super chat. Sorry, mate. Midfield.
I don't think it's us.
It's not us.
I actually do.
Liverpool have got to be up there. Forest have got to be up there. I think Newcastle have got to be up there.
Yeah.
Villa's got to be up there. Mate, Tielemans last night. Oh my goodness me. He was
I'll tell you who was self-sabotaging that game. Tyrone Mings. Oh my God. The things he was doing yesterday. Goodness me. God. Liverpool, I think, deserve a big shout here, especially Gravenberch.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it to Liverpool. Yeah.
It's Liverpool. Yeah, I think because Villa are 9th now, it's difficult to give them that.
But we're doing it on performances, aren't we? So but
performance, like well, performance should, if you're top of the league, like
exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah,
subjective performance.
Yeah.
I think I'll have to give it to Liverpool, but unfortunately, I have to give the attack to Liverpool as well.
Yes. Well, it is a one-man show, though, isn't it?
So basically, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Table doesn't lie.
Let's pick this because it's not fun. Let's pick the second in each category.
Let's exclude Liverpool and Arsenal then.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Goalkeeper, I think Matt Sells should get it. Yeah, he has been fantastic.
I'd agree with that. Forward areas, I'd give it to Bournemouth.
Oh yeah, great shout.
Because of what they do off the ball as well. I'd give it to Bournemouth in attack.
Yeah, good.
Defense.
Tell you what, Brentford underrated as well in terms of what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Defense,
I would give it maybe Fulham as an outside shout because Fulham have been solid.
How many goals have they
conceded? 33. But Villa, who are the same points, have conceded 40.
Villa have had a lot of injuries, haven't they? So I think it's hard to pick them.
I think Fulham defensively have been pretty
Fulham's
good.
Fulham's a good shout.
So yeah, Forest for goalies, Fulham for defense for me. Maybe attack. I'd go Bournemouth. And who are we going for midfield?
I mean, before this really bad run, Chelsea definitely had a case there, especially with Caicedo's performances.
Right. For excluding Liverpool and Arsenal,
but they've gone on a really bad run.
Yeah. Good question, Nathan. Druski, would you want Lookman plus Isak or Rodrigo and Gyök? I'm presuming you mean Gyökeres. Rodrigo and Gyökeres or Lookman and Isak? Oh, that's tough.
Hard.
That is tough.
Rodrigo's made this very spicy.
Yeah. Can we say they're the same price?
Yeah, he got
to make this easier. If they're the same, that is tough. If they're the same price for this Arsenal team, I think I'd just go Lookman and Isak.
Yeah, the only reason why I'd do that is because I've not watched Gyökeres much outside of the games against us. But Rodrigo throws a spanner in this. Rodrigo is one of the most underrated ballers out there. He's so good.
He's top.
And he's fit into this team like a glove as well, especially with his work ethic and his versatility. But...
Good player. Right, Rohan. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Tactical debate.
You fraud.
Oh my goodness me. This is one of the things, and we, as I said earlier, there are things that do upset me that people say. The responses to this, I actually don't care. I really don't care. And if you think I was saying put Saka left wing by asking a question, what would you do with this? I honestly don't care. Let's talk. So basically, I put up a poll. earlier on in
response
the
was
week.
quite wild, not gonna lie.
I'd honestly like. There's some things I do. As I said to you earlier, there's some things that do get under my skin. That just didn't at all. I honestly don't care. People just can't read. It's fine. I put a poll out saying, would you move? Where are we? Here it was. Would you put Saka on the left if it meant that we could get both Wanyeri and Ødegaard in the team? And the results were there were 16,000 votes.
How many quotes?
I don't know. I don't care. Like honestly, if you're asking the question, I don't care. And it was 85% saying no, 15% saying yes. Quite a lot of votes for yes. Let's go through. So we've got. I'm going to sort of do where we see next season going, and how we get everyone in the 11. And I'm going to put for now. I'm going to say new winger on the left. Or certainly a new, maybe not on the left, but sort of new winger for this sort of thought experiment. I'm going to put or should I put Martinelli in? Would that be more fair?
Yeah, just put Martinelli in.
I'll put Martinelli as an option as well.
Yeah.
So we've got Saka in there as well. We've got Ethan in there, who surely is going to get the number 10 shirt. Surely. And let's put Martinelli in there as well. I'm also going to bring in new striker and Havertz and see how we get on. Okay. So in terms of your first choice for next season to try and get, if this is how it's going to end up, how would that look for you? What's the setup?
With those options.
With these options, you got a new winger, a new set, and you can choose how that is.
Yeah. Just if we
this
just
group
assume,
of players.
if we just assume, wait, have you got too many players there?
No, as in I'll move them out, but you tell me the formation.
Okay,
you play.
It's quite self-explanatory in terms of Havertz up front from these options.
Okay.
On new winger on the left.
Okay. Resuming Saka right.
On the right, yeah, and then Ødegaard on the left.
Okay.
And then Wanyeri
in the 10.
Right, yes.
Okay. So you'd presumably sign someone like a Šeško.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Let's just put new centre forward there as well, just to be Let's just do that. Let's just do that.
So let's assume. And who would you in this case? Let's put them in as well. Who would you want those to be, just as a kind of placeholder?
Centre forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want Šeško.
Okay, let's put Šeško in. And let's put on the left.
Been torn between. Can I put Barkala there?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's your dream for next season, basically.
Yeah, and Havertz and Šeško is very much like that's rotational, big time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Talk us through it. What would you do with that?
Well, I mean, firstly, I think we, as a fan base, we need to normalize having multiple good attackers. You know, it's why our backline has been fantastic and why we're so consistent in that regard. And we need to be able to do the same through forward areas. So there's going to be a lot of rotation anyway. But I think when we're talking about trying to get all of them in, which was the original question, and about maximizing each of those players, I'm very much of the opinion, I've always maintained this, is that you have your best players. Those are the guys that should be prioritized. And every player who is a level slightly below that, in which there becomes a conflict of who plays where, the least impactful player should be the one that's moved, if they can still be moved. And in this case, it absolutely can. And that's why I would move Martin Ødegaard to the left, because I think Ethan Wanyeri, I think Ethan Wanyeri through the right-hand side in that pocket, that is his best position. That is where he's going to be at his most unpredictable best. Two-way, you've got two players in Saka and Wanyeri. The moment you are a two-way player, the whole game opens up and it becomes very difficult to defend against. And someone like Martin Ødegaard as well, who I still actually personally think his best role is on the right-hand side. I really do think that. But he has really good qualities through the left as well in terms of how direct he can be. And I think that'll work really well for Barkala as well. So that's what I would do. People say, but Martin Ødegaard leads the press. Now, okay, this is getting very nerdy. Martin Ødegaard does not always lead the press. It does not always happen. there are many games in which he hasn't led the press because we've changed it because of what the opposition are doing. Aston Villa, Man City, two big examples. Arsenal can still operate a Martin Odegaard through the left and him having a very similar effect on Arsenal's press. I think that is one of the things people feel like why Martin Odegaard needs to stay on the right, because he's the one who leads the press. There are things that we can still change with Odegaard playing in that role. You'd need to make certain tweaks. I don't think we need to go into it, but that's what I would do personally.
As a first option, if you, let's say we don't sign a left winger, what's your next option?
If we don't sign a left wing, Martinelli.
Martinelli, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say we couldn't sign a centre forward. What would you do?
Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
Let's say Mikel was completely against flipping Odegaard to the left-hand side. What would you do?
I think Ranieri would have to go on the bench.
Ranieri on the bench, and someone probably Rice Zubi, Odegaard type midfield. Okay. Yeah. Let's say
I mean, what I will say though, Alex, when we're talking about Zubimendi in the fold here,
yep,
I don't think you can fit everyone in.
Yeah,
there has to be someone who misses out, and I do think there'll be games in which Ranieri will suit it more than an Odegaard. You know, personally.
Yep.
So
yeah. For me, it could be Šeško and Barcola, could be Isak, could be whoever. There's a few options for me, and I think my only point here is not I want Saka on the left, and people are going to ignore that, and I don't care. My point is this: this would be something like a first choice for me, absolutely first choice for me. So I would love personally someone like an Isak. I think that's my first choice as a striker. If that doesn't happen, I'd want someone like a Šeško. That would make sense to me. I mean, a Barcola will be an absolute dream for me, but, a Nico Williams or something along those lines. So something like this, probably, yeah. I think I am on board with the Odegaard on the left. If you haven't checked out, George and I did a scouted episode on Odegaard, and we talked a lot about why it might make sense to do that in terms of Ranieri's positioning, but also in terms of where Odegaard influences the pitch. A lot of the stuff is around here when he does his absolute best work getting out of tight spaces or dropping in to receive and then playing the ball up the pitch, when he's got time on the ball and he can play those through balls. When he's higher in these sorts of zones up here around zone 14, he can influence things, but he also, I think we feel more of his limitations personally. So in terms of his physical limitations, in terms of his angle limitations, in terms of his limitations with the absolute final ball, like the Kevin De Bruyne or the Bruno Fernandes, I think Odegaard is just that slight tier below. But in terms of where he's absolutely elite, I think Odegaard in these spaces is an elite level footballer. So that's why it makes sense to me. I appreciate people would disagree. There's another world where let's say we got Mikel was absolutely adamant that Odegaard was going to be on the right. I'd be okay with that. And I think there's a world in which maybe I'd be happier if we got in a Barcola and let's put Rice and maybe Zubimendi in. Actually, I should put Zubimendi on a yellow because he's a new signing. So let's say we got Rice and Zubimendi. I would be happy with something like this along these lines if Mikel was, and then Ranieri on the bench. In terms of if he's just not going to move Odegaard, that's just not an option. This is something like my second or maybe third choice. A new winger, obviously for Barcola, whoever that is, different names, etc. Mm-hmm. Somewhere down the line, though, personally, I just don't think it's absolutely ridiculous to say that this is an option somewhere. To get everyone in the team, you are not going to find a better left winger than Bukayo Saka, because Bukayo Saka is going to be world-class wherever you are. In this case, this would be, for example, if we didn't sign a winger. If we just couldn't sign a Barcola, we couldn't sign a Nico Williams, whatever. I really don't hate this, and I don't want to take this off the table. I think with this, people are scared of this because they haven't seen it. But Saka's game will translate wherever he is. I said on this Sport Bible thing today, Saka will play good. I think literally apart from goalkeeper, centre-back, DM and 9, Saka could be world-class anywhere because that's just who he is. He can play left 8, right 8, out wing, whatever. In these sorts of zones, I think he could be much more of a carrier. I think he can shoot across his box shoot across his body in the box. I think in terms of receiving out wide and beating his man out wide and whipping balls in, I think we could see something really, really special. I think Wanieri on the right-hand side and Saka on the left-hand side is better for me than this version where Saka's on the right and Wanieri's on the left in terms of angles, in terms of what I see, in terms of his ability. Right here, Wanieri can cut in here, which is his bread and butter, but he can also take you on the outside. Here, I think he's going to get shepherded inside, and I don't think he has the running power necessarily off his left foot to get around the outside, personally, from what I've seen. Could be wrong. My point is this is not my first option, but if we don't get the stuff done in the market, if we are adamant we're not moving Ødegaard, if we have to get Wanieri in the team, it's just not off my list personally in terms of moving around. Every single player, and that's a lot of things before we get there. The final thing is this. Every single player, whether you're Jesus, White, Partey, Havertz in our team, or you're Messi, Ronaldo, Suarez, Gundogan, De Bruyne, whatever, name a player, has at some point in their career, when it calls for it, moved. So this idea that moving Saka is this sort of thing that it just could never happen. Well, firstly, I'm saying I don't want it to happen because I've got a load of things that want to happen first, but I also don't want to take it completely off the table, is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only thing with this is like, I've always felt with Saka on the left-hand side, I would only entertain that if we're in an injury, a problem with injuries. That's where I feel on it. And I think what you mentioned there, if Mikel Arteta is adamant that Martin Ødegaard should not move from the team, I think I can't buy into that logic.
No,
I can't buy into that logic from the manager, because I think, for me, I've always been of the opinion that your best players, you need to maximize them. And I think people talk about like Messi and Ronaldo, and they've changed roles over the years. Yeah, but Messi's moving from the right wing to false nine and vice versa. Is still seeing the same side of the pitch. Is still doing very similar things. I think when you're moving someone towards the opposite flank, it's a completely different game. Now, I'm not saying that Bukayo Saka...
Ronaldo's done that. He played left and right for both United and
yes, at Man United, he started on this right. He started on the right wing and they played Giggs on the left wing. But then when he went to Real Madrid, it was very, very minimal moments / games which Ronaldo moved back to the right. Once he moved over to the left, he was very much through the left, and then it was through the middle and vice versa. So what I'm saying is with Messi and Ronaldo, two of the best players that we have seen in our generation, right, as football fans, their role, yes, nominally it's changed slightly, but they're still doing very similar things because they're seeing the same side of the pitch, really. Whereas when you're doing it with someone like Saka, who's at a stage of his career in which he is right there in terms of the top tier right wingers, only Salah, and some people will argue Yamal. I don't think Yamal is better than Saka. That's it, So it's about maximizing your best players in the role that you've seen them shine consistently for your club and also your country. So I'm not saying Saka can't play on the left wing, by the way. I've never said that. But what I'm saying is I think there should be other things that we do before we get to that stage. And that comes with Martin Ødegaard. And that's why I can't buy into the logic of Martin Ødegaard needs to stay in this role. Yep. Like, why? Yep. Why does he need to stay in this role? So that's where I stand on it. Yep. I'd be completely against it if we're like Bukayo Saka, the way they've done it with Rafinha, and people will point to the Rafinha example of someone who has switched effortlessly through the left and has been even better. So there are examples there, right? But I just off the opinion, you've seen what he's been doing over the years consistently. Why move that? Why change that? Especially for someone who was breaking all sorts of records before his injury. What Salah's doing is unprecedented, but Saka was also, people forget that as well. So that's just where I stand on it. I've just always been a fan of, you have your best players, just keep them where they are at their absolute best. Doesn't mean that they can't do it elsewhere. They can, because they're top players. But is that the best? Is that beneficial to you as a team of the utmost? I don't think it is. So that's just. Yeah,
I completely.
Well, you're not saying that. You're.
No.
I think you're just a little bit. You're just a little bit higher on the Saka left wing chart than me. Like, I wouldn't say that Arsenal should not consider it. Like I said, if Arsenal had some really bad injuries, and we needed to put a team out, and then sure, we can do that. But it's like my absolute last thing on my list of doing, especially with what we have.
Yeah, and I just don't think it's last for me. I think it's it's somewhere on the list for me, and that's all. I guess that's all the difference is. And I just yeah. I mean, if that happened, if Saka was moved to the left, I still think he'd absolutely cook. But I would also be going. I would want someone to ask Mikel, why can't we move Ødegaard? Like really tell us, like why is he immovable, or why can't we move Wanieri, or why can't we move other players? It's just in a case where, as I've said, we haven't signed a left winger, we aren't moving Ødegaard, we don't want to put Wanieri out of position, then is there a world? I just think there's some fans who are just like, never in a million years. I don't know. I just think there is a world in which you do that somewhere. But yeah,
in general, right, the moral of the story for me is let's normalize having a lot of good attackers, because that's ultimately what Arsenal Football Club needs, isn't it?
But also normalize like every single player being put into a jigsaw and to make sense of things, and to go, okay, how do we, if you move that player, because once you move one person, that has an impact, a knock-on effect on everyone else. And for example, if you move Saka over to the left, okay, does that change how we need to play with our left back? Does it change in terms of our build-up structures? Does it change where we need to press? There's loads of things you need to think through. So, moving Ødegaard, I don't know. You have to ask Mikel. There might be a bigger knock-on effect to do that than to do something else, and he might say, "Well, I prefer not to do that." It's a really complicated ecosystem. It's not simply moving one player out. It might make the most sense, and this is why, again, we come back to the Ian Wright thing in the summer. That's why we had the debate at the time, right? My personal decision at the time was take Phil Foden out of the team. That was my decision. Take Phil Foden out. That's the first thing I'd do. But this idea that it was just never even, how dare you suggest he'd be a left wing back and he'd be in those positions. I think he'd be really effective. Can I tell you why? Because he's world class. He's world class. And I think you take it as an insult, and I see it as a
no.
compliment.
I think the England one's a bit different for me personally, because you are not surrounded by a plethora of world class attackers, right? Like Phil Foden is not in the same level as a Bukayo Saka for you to be accommodating.
We didn't have a left back.
but that's the problem for the coach. The coach should have picked one before the squad was announced. He should have picked one.
As I said, Foden would have come out. I can't remember what I said at the time, but Foden should have come out of the team. I was looking at, I think, the centre backs at that point. I can't remember. There was loads of stuff that I was saying, but it came to a point where people were like, if England don't have a left back, because like it shouldn't be. I think it's seen almost as like an attack, or like a sort of an insult to his ego, and it's like just go with where the coach goes.
But the problem is, but we say England didn't have a left back, and the point I wanted to make here, right? Yes, you move Bukayo Saka to the left hand side, right, and you move him to left back on paper, and it's obviously not left back on paper in terms of the actual dynamics. There's a lot of different things that occur, but there are a lot more defensive responsibilities Bukayo Saka would have to do there. And also, we're completely ignoring the fact that the right-hand side would be significantly weaker as well. So, yes, we might be fixing something slightly better. No, in fact, way better.
I don't know, because you had Cole Palmer, who was on the bench, and it just made the most sense to me. Anyway, let's not rehash the debate.
I think that was... I didn't like that talk of moving him to left-back. I think this is different, though. This is completely different.
Yep.
We're talking about moving a player who is a top 2 right winger in world football, and you're moving him somewhere else, and you're using the argument of, because he's a very versatile player, because he can perform multiple different roles at such a high level, but he should not be the one who's being moved around to accommodate others. That's the point I have. That's my point in that whole debate. And I don't think it would have benefited England anyway, because the right-hand side, even with a Cole Palmer, even with a Phil Foden, would have been weaker, especially with the way Walker was playing as well. So...
Yeah, fair. I mean, let's not rehash the England debate. Look, I just think personally, someone said, would you move Salah to left back if it made the team better? Yes, I would. And this is my take on everything. It's like, ultimately, the team has to win. The team has to win. So if it's the best thing to do for the team, I will always do the best thing for the team. I'm just not into this. I don't know, personally. I just think the individuals have to do what's best for the system, and then at that point. But anyway, let's go.
But it's just the final bit on this was like where the difference lies between us is you think that makes the team collectively better, whereas I don't think that is the case. So that's it. That's all it is. So
no, it's fair. Yeah. It's fair. Let's come to who we got questions. Yes, let's do questions. Oh no, with title race. I didn't discuss the title race. Jesus Christ. Liverpool dropped more points.
Yes, sir.
We couldn't. Could we?
But did you not? I like completely. I expected Liverpool to drop points against Villa. Like I absolutely expected it. Now, a bit fortunate for sure, Villa, especially with some of the chances Liverpool had and Tyra Mings self-sabotaging. But I did expect Liverpool to drop points there. And it kind of evens it out between over the past 2 games for Liverpool, where Wolves absolutely deserved a point in that game at Anfield. Absolutely deserved a point. But then you've got like Aston Villa, who I don't think they deserved anything from that game. Even though there was like at the end with the Donyell Marlin chance, and it's like
that was close.
whiskers. But balance of play, Liverpool should have won that game, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like they had the opportunities, but it's
they should. But equally, I think to me I've just never been physically at the back. I've just never been convinced by them. I think that's where. And look, they're just so. Salah's having a beyond the world class season. I mean, he's just incredible to me. And I also think I see sometimes that people are like, oh, Salah's not in the. Like he's a great output guy, but nah, man, this is an all timer player to me. But the thing for me, I think they could get worried, and I think they are getting worried. And I'm seeing a little bit in terms of a couple, like when the goals went in, there felt like a bit of almost like an inevitability a little bit. I saw a couple of like Van Dijk, he gets a bit eye rolly and a bit like, oh, here we go again. It doesn't feel like that sort of sense of collective buy-in that I feel like sometimes, like when a goal goes in against Arsenal, I feel like there's like a sort of sense of like, okay, that's fine, but we know what we're trying to do. Whereas against Liverpool, it feels like there's, I don't know, just I'm watching them. I'm sort of going, it's like they're waiting for it to happen and hoping something will happen at the other end. I still think Liverpool win the title, to be totally honest. I do. And I have to be honest about that. But I really think we can make it close. And that's what's exciting now. I really do. I feel this is an opportunity for Arsenal to run them, to say, look, we're here to hopefully not obviously drop points and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think there was a point when I felt Liverpool were just this invincible team that are just going to go on and walk the title. I don't feel that anymore. I really don't.
Oh, did you have that feeling though, like that they were going to go on? And
I think so. Back in November or so, I guess I was like, I was like, they're going to drop points.
Yeah, but
they're going to be so far out that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, they've dropped a lot of points for the past 2 months as well, like a lot of points, But I think out of us three, right, me, you, and George, I feel like I was the first person to kind of like feel like the title was done, especially with the Saka injury. Like I felt that's it. It's just not going to happen now. But I've always maintained Liverpool are going to drop a lot of points. Like I've always felt that because I think there is a significant weakness there, especially between the back line and the midfield. Like I think what Liverpool are really good at, and this is a bit unfair to them because they have been fantastic in all phases in the majority of the games this season, right? But I think Liverpool are absolutely elite between like both boxes. But what happens between that, especially when their midfield gets lured in and the spaces open up, I think there is a big constraint on their back line. And Villa, the amount of times they access that space, they did it time and time again. And you're seeing it in previous games as well, in which they've dropped points as well. So I've always felt Liverpool have frailties there. But the problem with it is that we've just not given ourselves the best opportunity to pounce from the window that we had in January. If Saka was fit, if Havertz was fit, I'd say, yeah, we'll win this. I'm very confident. I would be so confident. But right now, we look at our options, mate. We're debating about Marino 9 and Raheem Sterling, with all due respect, even though I'm kind of like the Raheem Sterling Defence League, like key member of it. But that's the problem. And that's why I said post-match yesterday, just it's survival mode, isn't it? Just try and keep churning out wins because it's not going to be pretty. Like it's...
Yeah, there just feels like a glimmer of hope at the minute, which I'm holding on to. I just feel it's going to be dash racing, but you never, honestly, like you never want to rule it out. I've never said it won't happen. I've just said I feel Liverpool are going to win the league, and that was post. I think a sort of a malaise of post Saka. I think when that Havertz, that was the nail in the coffin when the Havertz injury happened, or maybe when the Jesus one, I was sort of teetering on the edge, but the Havertz one, I was just like that.
I think the Havertz one is quite funny, right? Because Havertz has got a lot of stick from Arsenal fans, especially with obviously what happened in the cup performances against Newcastle and Man United with the chances that he missed, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like the the Havertz injury hit people so hard. It hit me so hard because that is a player who allows us to play a different game when we need to. Whatever you think of Kai Havertz, he allows us to do different things. And now we're a little bit more constrained, and people thinking, oh well, Marino, similar heights, and they're trying to draw comparisons. He's nowhere near the same player as Kai Havertz. There's this completely different players despite the heights, and that's the problem that we have right now. And also, right, I don't know if you've seen it, and I always refer to it on the podcast like data EPL analytics. But he looked at, right, and the trend of Arsenal under Mikel Arteta is in terms of goal kicks and the percentage of us going long, we're up there with Forest and Everton, and no other team goes more long than Arsenal in terms of that direct route. Now, I've always criticised us in that sense because I feel like it is a staple of our game, but I think as a team, we need to be better at playing through pressure and being brave on the ball under high pressure. But Kai Havertz allows us to do certain things that means that we can kind of escape and be a little bit more direct. Yeah. That's a criticism I have. Yeah. But now it's going to force us to play more short now, and that's something that we aren't the best in the league at, and I don't think there's some weaknesses there. So yeah,
I think Havertz allows us within the same game to stretch and compact the pitch, and we don't have that now, and that's the shame of it, because we can go over with him, but we can also drop in, and we don't have that, and it's going to be very, very hard. But look, Liverpool, we'll just have to wait and see. I think they've got who've they got? Is it
they got Man City on Sunday?
Yeah, they got City, which you just never know. You have to, I think there's a
they'll lose to City. I think they'll lose to City. Actually, Haaland, I don't know, maybe not, but they'll drop points. Drop points, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. But I just feel if we can stay there or thereabouts, that game at Anfield, I would just love that game at Anfield to mean something. I really would. That would be really important to me. Maybe we go in there as, even if we do win it, we've still got a bit, but I just love it to feel like it's consequential, that game at Anfield. That's kind of my aim at this point. Because it's still, for example, if we stayed where we are at the moment, I think it'd be very hard. Game in hand, and then if we won that, we'd be 4 points behind. If we won that game at Anfield, that would be a very nervy last two games, and I would love that.
Would you
even that would be like, okay, we plucked something out of this season. It's not enough, but we plucked something.
Would you take this? I think you obviously will, because you don't think Arsenal are going to win the league like me. But it comes to Anfield, right? And our goal difference, we've managed to gain ground, and we're ahead of Liverpool on goal difference, and it's 3 points at Anfield. Would you take that, 3 points before kickoff?
Wait, it's 3 points.
The gap's 3 points. Yeah,
the gap's 3 points.
Yeah, and our goal difference is superior. Or are you are you thinking that Liverpool are going to drop even more points and Arsenal going to be able to go on a run, that it's going to be even a smaller gap? That's the point I'm trying to.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I think I'd take 3 points at this point.
I'd take that.
If we have Saka, Martinelli fit, I think we win that game.
Do you reckon? It's hard. It's tough, though, isn't it?
And a couple of years ago, and forget the fact that we've evolved as a team, but just mentally going to Anfield, I think we'd be all right. I really think we'd be all right. I think we'd be serious. Yeah, man. I just think we've got enough players in the squad who I trust now to go into Anfield 3 points behind and say, right, we're going to do this. I think we're a better football team. I think Liverpool are better attackers and bigger talents, but I think we're a better football team.
I'll stand by that. I've always maintained that. The table will suggest otherwise, and that's where it depends on what circles you're in, really, because some people won't be willing to hear that. But I watched Arsenal against Liverpool. I've seen that this season. I've watched that game 2.5, close to 3 times. Liverpool were not better than Arsenal on that day, and we had a lot of injuries, and we had a lot of in-game injuries as well.
Yeah, we had half our defense come out. Yeah. And the only reason they won that game is because they went down our left when we'd had Gabriel and someone else off? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, the back line that we finished
Gabriel
with
and Timber.
Thomas Partey, Ben White, Kivior, and Mars Lewis-Skelly.
So 3 out of position. So it's look, I want to stay in the room, stay close, and let's see. I wish I had more we're gonna do it, but I don't.
What do you reckon of Liverpool's next 2 games? They got City and then Newcastle. How
Mate,
many
I think
points
they
do you
drop
get?
points, but again, this has been my position the whole time, and I'd love to be wrong. I think we do as well.
Do you think what? Do you think we beat West Ham? Or
I think we beat West Ham, but I just think
Yeah.
down the line,
yeah. I mean,
I
Forest
think
is next after that, so
yeah, I just
It's
worry we'll
hard.
drop points in those games. Let's come to as many questions as we possibly can in the last half hour or so of the show. We also last week, Rohan, do you remember we did the skin fade vote?
Yeah, I got one.
You got skin fade?
Yes.
Here we go. So we asked debate on the CannonPod live this evening. At what age is it not okay to get a skin fade? The answers were somewhere before 40, between 40 and 60, 60 plus, and never. And with over 1,000 votes, somewhere before 40 won with 37.5%. People saying before 40, somewhere in that range, you can't get a skin fade.
Is that a bit harsh? Unfair? Like,
I personally, I'm stuck between never and between 40 and 60. I think you either commit and you say I'm going to get it to the day I die, or I think when you're 47,
it could be like the next
you get it out,
trend
mate.
of hairstyle, isn't it? Like, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah,
Or-
I don't know. I just don't think. I think
I
you
don't know
can't
what
be-
I'll get outside of what would you just get like a number one? Would the number one be? Would that be fair to get a number one and
just
like
just the number one all over.
no, not number one all over. That's like egghead sayings, but
Yeah, I could see you as an egghead, like a little grey beard in your 60s. Do you reckon you're gonna go bald?
So if the hairline becomes disastrous, then you just gotta get rid of it, don't you? My hairline's fine. My
Becomes.
hairline.
Cesar, thanks for the super chat. Love that Rohan is always reminding people of the things they forget. People forget this. Love the pod. Ignore the weirdos on Twitter. I think he says like you always say that. People forget this.
I don't think I do. Do I?
You've got another one.
I don't think I do.
Tell you what, I was saying to James from the Gooniverse, his favorite one is, now why am I telling you this? he'll make a point and he'll go, now why am I telling you this? Thank you, Cesar.
I feel like that's more George. People forget.
Like, yeah, George loves the people forget. What else does George love? Fundamentally, George.
What I mean by that. Yeah,
yeah.
he likes the, yeah.
Fundamentally, what I mean by that, he's got loads of them. Daniel says, would you take Arsenal officially and permanently changing its name to Arsenal Soccer Team if it meant we sign Isak and win the quadruple next year? Bro, I would change my own name to Arsenal Soccer Team if we signed Isak and win it. Can I just, on stream, everyone's watching? I'm sure everyone's waiting for a clip. I will change my own name to Arsenal Soccer Team if we sign Isak and win the quadruple next season. I promise you. By deed poll, I will do it.
You can't call yourself that.
Why not?
Arsenal Soccer.
I will do it. Sign Isak and win the quadruple. I would you not? Odds on we say we do this on the show. You wouldn't do it. Oh my. So you wouldn't sell your kidney.
Fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay, this one's a bit more bearable. Okay,
handshake. You change your name to Arsenal Soccer Team if we sign Isak and win the quadruple.
Yeah.
Everyone's got it.
Hello, Arsenal Soccer Team, G-Van.
Nathan Piper says, some in your chat want your thoughts on Wanyeri left wing. Well, I'll put it this way. I'd actually put Wanyeri left wing, potentially, over Saka left wing if we're going there. If that's the only way to get him in the team. If that's the only way to get him in the team.
I'd probably go. No, I'd go Saka left wing before Wanyeri left wing. If it came to that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So you hate Saka and you think he should move. Why would you move your best players?
I knew you were going to say that.
Again, it just depends. It just depends. It depends on the signings. It depends on the forwards. It depends on the midfielders we've got. Whatever. It depends if you just are not going to move Vertigo. It depends what striker we've. There's so many things. Unfortunately. Can we? Yeah, such a tactico.
Also, what was that tweet from that guy on X talking about like it's a 12-year-old and a Canadian talking about fans. Those
Open
sorts of
season.
people, they are the worst, absolute worst. It's the ones who are like, oh, why are you talking about a player? You've never played the game before. Okay, so nobody's going to talk about football then.
That is one of the ones that annoys me the most.
So we just
It's
go
like,
there, we'll go to the stadium, we'll watch it, and we'll be silent, and we'll go back to our life. Yep.
We'll all set.
What's on
We'll
the
all
game?
stand
No,
there in
I
silence.
can't talk about it. I've not played. I've not played before. No, so I can't talk about it. What a load of nonsense.
I've not played professional football, so I just can't have an opinion about it.
So people are some deranged, mate. Oh God.
Did you see the one that was there was someone who clipped up the bit where so the guy I'm talking about Saka, I'm propping Saka on the overlap, and I say something like, Saka's still got the most big chances created in the league, and he hasn't played since before Christmas. And the City fan says, "Isn't that mostly corners?" I was like, "Yeah, probably," because I was just like, "Whatever." Then we moved on, and the amount of people, how dare you? How dare you not defend our? Have you ever had a real conversation with someone in real life? Obviously, I don't agree with that, but like, have you ever talked to someone about football not on Twitter? Genuinely?
Yeah, it's actually.
People just make jokes about each other's teams. Like it's just funny. Like it's really not that deep.
Office football chat is the worst, and sometimes you just gotta accept it because then you can stop the conversation as well.
Imagine if everyone in your office, like anytime they said anything against Arsenal, what? What? How dare you? How dare you say that about my club? Right. Let's.
It's so true, though, isn't it? It is actually so true.
Have a conversation, not on the internet, please. Let's come to some questions. Come on, let's do it. Can we talk CL draw, or is it tomorrow?
That's tomorrow. The draw.
Oh, is it? What's this about? What side of the draw are we on? Like the PSV one?
Yeah, so we want to avoid the PSV one because that side's got Real Madrid. So if we play final, I mean, would you rather? Let's say Arsenal get to the latter stages. Would you want Real Madrid over 2 legs or in the final? Actually,
2 legs. if I have to face Madrid, 2 legs, please. Actually, do I? They're masters of both.
I don't know. That team. So
they're
like
masters of both.
So when you try and understand football and you try and analyze a team, right? I can't analyze Real Madrid in the Champions League. They do something.
Can you imagine how good it would be for the narrative if we beat Real Madrid in the Champions League? How good it would be for the narratives.
The most prestigious club in world football.
I think I'd say final. I think I'd say final actually, because
I'd say final
because it's just random one-off.
You can get a dodgy referee decision. You get something.
Yeah, you get
like we did back in 2006. So you could get something, and it goes your way, and you win. Whereas 2 legs, right? 2 legs. What tends to happen is but Real Madrid defy physics here because so many times they haven't been the better team over 2 legs, and they still go through. But usually over 2 legs, the better team goes through.
Mostly.
So
you're saying we're not the better team than Real Madrid, mate?
No.
Wow.
Well, I don't think we'd beat an Inter or an Atletico Madrid over 2 legs as well.
Andre says, thoughts on the Lookman Gasperini situation?
I thought that was incredibly. So you know me, right? I'm very much of the opinion in which, as a manager, you have to defend your own players, regardless of the context. And that's why, when Nicolas Pepe and Alioski, I think it was, Alioski, the Leeds fullback, when they had that alteration as Pepe got sent.
Yeah.
And Arteta threw him under the bus. He threw him under the bus. And I said at the time, I don't like that. And since then, Arteta actually hasn't done this. He's actually always protected his players. And I think this is even worse, though, with Gasperini, because Lookman single-handedly won them the Europa League last season, scored a hat-trick in the final. Their first cup in, I think, 20 or 30 years. And then for you to just throw someone under the bus like that, in that fashion, I think it's so bad. And I'm a bit shocked because he's been in the game for ages, Gasperini.
And you say stuff, I think...
His head was on Mars. His head was on Mars.
Yeah, your head's on Mars. I mean, you see that the clip of that that Atalanta player kicking off. It happens. I read in between the lines. I think Lookman's leaving anyway. I think they're annoyed at that. No, I'm not excusing it because you just never should say as a manager. But reading between the lines, I think Lookman's leaving and they're annoyed. And and they maybe feel he's kind of.
But do you know what it is also? It's maybe,
Chucking
the
the
kind of
towel in.
thing you said before. Like, I might take some of this back because, like, I've just seen the raw quotes. I've actually not seen the presser and what he's actually said. He might have said it in a different fashion, but still, I just don't like when, you're thrown.
People saying, is it a color thing? Look, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't feel I'm qualified to comment on that, but possibly you can't rule it out, can you? Ivan Smith says, most prestigious team in football history getting played off the park by children and Mikel Merino would be hilarious. I mean,
Yeah,
this
the
is
narrative would be so funny.
This is the thing. If we do win a Champions League or a Premier League this year, do you know how insufferable I'm going to be?
Well, we said this on the pod. Blockable. It's blockable.
Oh, no, but not you don't. I wouldn't leave it on the internet. I would be in the center of Liverpool or the center of Madrid, just with pictures of Mikel Merino going
in Madrid. Yeah, you got no chance, mate.
no chance.
We ain't coming back alive.
I don't Liverpool. I'm done. No, but I would be unbearable because if we do this with Mikel Merino firing us to the title and Ethan, oh my goodness me,
Mikel Merino.
Kieran52 says Wolves and Villa have both shown the carriers in the middle absolutely terrorise Liverpool. Would be a game. Would it be a game for Wanyeri in the midfield? Potentially, I don't think. Thank you for changing your picture, Kieran. I think I've asked you to do that.
Got the fade in as well.
My fade looks quite good. Potentially.
I think we can beat Liverpool with what we do anyway. I've said that many times, but yeah, it's.
Yeah,
I don't think we're in a position to be tweaking.
I know
things options
the take about carriers I do like. John, I was watching Villa last night, and I think one of the issues with it was a Tielemans, Asensio, McGinn midfield is it was quite. They feels like they all want to do the same thing. They all want to receive under pressure. They all want to turn. They want to play at 5 yards. And I felt they needed someone who could find players with that Rice sort of pinger. And Rashford was right on the touchline. They just couldn't find him early enough. And I think with us, because it depends what they do against us, but Liverpool were really compacting those spaces, and Villa sort of fought them at that and won at that, I think, and fair play to them. But I think for me, against Liverpool, maybe you empty the midfield a bit more rather than trying to carry through it. It feels like the wide spaces are where you can get them either over Trent or round Robertson, who I've never loved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never loved Robertson. I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. Obviously, he's a good fullback, but I think there's this thing. He's the best left back. I don't see that personally. I don't.
Certainly though, up there, one of the bargains of the.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's a brilliant. To be clear, he's a brilliant.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant player, but I just think,
I mean, his drop off has been big. Like, if there's one weak link in this Liverpool team, it is Robertson. I mean, the wide areas are always something you can get at Liverpool because of how they cheat with their forwards high, and this is the trade off between a Mikel and a Liverpool, where you saw that in the build up to Ollie Watkins' goal yesterday. And look how high Salah is up. And it's about, we won't get too tactical, but in terms of rest attack and, what trade-offs are you willing to go with? Liverpool go with the trade-off of, if I keep Salah high, yes, I'm going to have to suffer a bit more when teams overload out wide because we've got a numerical disadvantage, but I'm going to be more threatening in transition. And it speaks for itself. It works for them. Whereas Arsenal and Mikel, it's like, no, my winger needs to support my fullback in that scenario in order to give us that solidity to not concede a goal. So can I
go full nerd for a second?
Yeah,
I don't really understand, because I saw this the other day, and this is I would love someone to explain it to me. Let me see if I can. So I don't know if you saw that clip. Well, did you see the United Spurs game?
Yeah, saw it.
So something they do. So obviously, most teams. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Most teams in a block, if the ball goes wide, they have their. I'll put the centre backs here. Sorry, I'll try and put them in sort of numbers so it feels like it's kind of. If you know what I'm trying to say, hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on the fly. Basically, you'd have something like this, where the ball goes wide, you got your fullback, and you've got your winger doubling back, like in an Arsenal team, something more like this when the ball goes wide, right? So you might have a player on the outside or whatever, but you've got two players on there, and you've got that sort of space inside. And what we do is I think we do very well, is we sort of shepherd the ball by the positioning of these players here. We shepherd the ball back inside. It's very hard to find that space inside in here, right? Or the ball goes back and it gets circulated around or whatever. And the spacing and the positioning of the fullback and the winger push the ball wide and then push the ball back in. With Amorim, there's something he's doing where that doesn't quite happen, because they've got this sort of, this is a wing back instead. I mean, actually, I'll change this, because they've got a wing back instead. Ignore these players over here. Spurs basically did this run where this guy does this run, that pulls him over.
Yeah.
And he, where was it? And then the ball gets placed into here and he jumps. I'm not explaining this very well. Hang on, let me see if I can describe it. Basically, essentially this run pulls two players over, and I couldn't quite work out how it was working, but it was so poorly constructed that I was like, that can't. It was a 2v3, but Spurs got through like that like 4 times. I don't quite know, because it's only one player less and it's only one run, but it's like somehow this gets over. I think is it because the other centre midfielder doesn't pull over?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, mate. Yeah. I was just about to allude to that. I think that's what it is. But I mean, you're looking at Manchester United. It's not the best examples of a team that is defensively.
I can't work this out on the tactics board. I don't know what he's doing. Where he's like, it's one like theoretically you have a 3v2.
Yeah.
And you should be able to defend that, but I can't play the clip.
It could be the mistiming of a jump as well. You know, you're trying to squeeze high and creep in behind. I need to watch it a bit more to be a bit more clear. But
yeah, I'll send you the clip, because it's really it's really interesting, and I can't work out what is it going on. Anyway, Andre says, where does Zubimendi fit in if Odin and Wanyeri play together in midfield with Rice at 6? I don't know.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
So you can't. You can't do it. You can't.
And this is where I come to. Let's go back to it. Solutions like the Saka at left, because it's like, okay, how do we get everyone in this team? It's not my favorite solution, as I've said 57,000 times. But if we sign Zubimendi, I don't.
But why would you need?
Someone's losing out.
But why would you need to get them all in? That's the other question. Why would you need to? You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, that's. Yeah. I'm more of that sort of mindset than just trying to get everyone in. You know, someone has to miss out, mate. Like, you know, it's just part and parcel of the game, but can't be Saka, that's for sure.
Simon says, Hypno says, is there a bigger cheat than Diogo Jota?
He's actually really bad at it. To be fair, Havertz is also not very good with it as well, if I'm being completely honest. Like, Havertz does throw himself.
He can buy a foul, can't he? But I don't. I mean, it's one of those things where you don't mind it in your own play and you hate it in someone else. People have said to me before, I look like Diogo Jota from Temu, which I'll buy. So I'll buy that. It's curly hair.
But Jota's really bad at it. The Havertz one against Man United, that was so bad. That was so bad.
Yeah, he's a bit of a jumper, isn't
he? A naughty one, isn't he? Bit of a naughty one.
Rohan, opinion on Zubi, please.
My opinion. Oh yeah, I did watch. So again, I got a bit of grief for this as well. I literally tweeted out and I said, been watching a few Zubimendi games because I like to watch the full 90s, and over the past 2 months, I've watched probably like 3 or 4 games, and I said I like him, but I don't love him. Like, I don't think I'll ever love Zubimendi as a player, but I still like him, you know. And the reason why I like him is because I think when we look at this team and the reconstruction and the players that are going to be leaving, as Zinchenko looks very likely. By the way, what even happened to that? Like, I thought he was certain to go, and then nothing seemed to come through. So you've got a Zinchenko going, you've got a Thomas Partey going, you've got a Jorginho going. 3 players, right, who are very dominant on the ball. You know, Thomas Partey on his day, physically fantastic as well. You know, but like you're losing a significant aspect of that ability to play passes through the lines from someone in deeper areas. And someone like Zubamendi, one thing he does really well is these disguise passes with his weaker foot as well as his strong foot. And he's so smart in terms of the way he receives off the goalkeeper as well. And under pressure, that is something that is going to help Arsenal massively. As I alluded to, something that Arsenal still need to do better at in terms of being able to play against a high press with the ball firmly on the ground. That's something Zubamendi will do really well. So there's a lot of similarities with Jorginho in that sense, in terms of how influential he can be in possession when he's facing play. And also, I think second ball wise, he's quite similar to Jorginho as well, where when the distances are quite tight and you're squeezing a team towards one side. So Mendy's quite effective in terms of nipping in front. But when the game becomes stretched, and people say, "Well, the game never becomes stretched under Arteta." No, it does. Sometimes, as a coach, you can't stop that. Zubamendi becomes null and void in that scenario. Absolutely.
When we watched him on for Scouted, honestly, over his shoulder.
Yeah, he's like he's towing a caravan, mate. He's like he's towing a caravan. And that's okay. That's completely fine because you're not going to get the perfect player. But that's why I said I don't love him, because there are certain things in certain games where I feel like Zubamendi will struggle.
And then if you want him as your 6, it's always a trade-off, isn't it? Because you can't say, well, if you can't control transition, you can't be my 6. Well, Jorginho did all right for Chelsea and Italy for years, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So you control the transition in different ways, and it's not all, you deal with the physical drop off in different ways, and you ask different players to jump in. I don't know. I mean, maybe have them higher up.
Yeah, so what Jorginho did really well, and I wasn't very much for the signing at the start, but I think if everyone's being objective, Jorginho has been a fantastic signing for Arsenal in terms of his consistency and his performances, irrespective of what you think of him stylistically. And Zubamendi, it's like he's of that Jorginho mold in terms of when I watch him, he's got a really good football brain. He understands space really well. He understands when to play that pass. And when you have that sort of player in a structure and environment under a coach who knows how to get the best out of you, you can mitigate your flaws. It doesn't mean your flaws won't be exposed, and they will do in the Premier League because it's a different level of intensity. But you can get by and you can really showcase your talent. And actually, if you watch Real Sociedad, they're very strict in terms of how they play. And like Zubamendi is that single pivot, in that 2-3 shape in which they split their fullbacks really wide or they'll come narrow. But he's usually the guy isolated in the middle of the park. At Arsenal, he will have someone alongside him on most occasions anyway. So that will help him as well. So it's the transferable qualities and the stylistic fit. But he does have flaws that will annoy people. And that's why I don't love him. But I think he can be a really good player for Arsenal for sure, if we use Declan Rice in the way that I think we envisage. So
yeah, for sure. Finish there because we've actually gone over past your apprentice time. This is how much Rohan cares about TCP Live. He would rather cut off 5 minutes and watch The Apprentice than.
Oh, that last episode you sent me on Instagram, that reel of the.
Oh yeah, she's like, what did she say? Like, okay, my friend. Well, for you, £1.50. Okay, my friend.
Peak Apprentice.
Right. To bed, I think.
How are you feeling? Because I feel like you're usually you're always happy, but I feel like today you're a bit more sad, maybe, or
I'm tired. But I think that's what it is. I'll be totally real. Yeah. It has annoyed me. I'm not pretending it hasn't annoyed me, but it actively doesn't matter. Like it will just go. I've said the things that have annoyed me. Of course, the personal comments. It's just like no one's gonna like that. Nice. But also, it just moves on. But to be honest, the fatigue has come from, and this is, I won't share this publicly. There's been some other stuff going on for me privately that I just like. It's just been like the worst time. But it's So that's going on. I appreciate you picking me up.
I'm here. I'm always here.
I know, baby. I know. Yeah, Nathan, we haven't had our usual non-footy chat. What is going on in The Apprentice?
Well, I didn't actually manage to watch all of it properly last week because we finished at 9:15.
This guy, man.
I know who went out.
That's all he cares about.
It's like I don't watch loads of TV. I don't get time to watch loads of TV, but I love The Apprentice. Like, I love it so much. Yeah.
There you go. I'm fine. I'm genuinely fine. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm just a bit tired. It's all good. It's all good. But thank you all. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back next week. Back for an instant reaction on Saturday. We did an Erdegaard Scouted on which came out yesterday, which was really interesting. Sort of talking a little bit more about how we get everyone in the team, and sort of Erdegaard's involvement and ways best on the pitch. And I think it really clarifies stuff for me. So if you're going to check that out, please do. Make sure you check out what else do you need to flag. When are you doing your data pod?
Be next week. Yeah.
Next week. Okay, we'll do a data pod at that point. But yeah, all good stuff. And also, as we always say, if you want to go check out like old episodes of Scouted, etc., we've got that on the Patreon and YouTube member side as well. So we did like Nico Williams, Sesko, Gyökeres. We've done all the sort of the names around Arsenal. So if you want to go check that out as well, you can. IR is instant reaction. Just Tom in the chat.
I'll be there at the game.
No, you won't. You hate it. Oh, I thought you were going to say you were there at the instant reaction.
Oh yeah, I'm not at the instant reaction.
Absolutely,
no.
Absolutely.
I'm at the game though.
Thank you, Rohan.
Nice one, mate.
Love you. Say it back.
Yeah.
Say it back.
Yeah.
Say it back.
Oh yeah.
Love you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And thanks for keeping Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying!